Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope everyone's doing well. So I'm back today with another video returning to my existing CD collection. So this is just going through old CDs which I have in the collection. So you've seen quite a few of these videos during the tenure of this channel. So yeah, and in today's video, all of the albums that I'm talking about are by one particular band. So this t-shirt is probably a giveaway. It's one of my favorite Finnish black metal bands of all time, and that is HORNA. I think that's the Finnish way to pronounce it, which means hell or abyss. But you can imagine, like, that's the Finnish pronunciation. Finnish is a difficult language. I'm just going to say HORNA from now on, just because that's easier. And if I keep trying to say it in that distinct Finnish way, it's a bit awkward and it will probably sound like pretentious wank on my part. So I'm just going to say HORNA. But yes, well-established Finnish black metal band. They've been around since about the late 90s, and they are now considered one of the most prominent bands in the Finnish black metal scene, and rightly so. The way I was introduced to this band, in the late 90s, I had a tape trading friend from Italy, Sylvia, and she taped the album, what was it? Kothi, Yhdeksan, Nousua for me, and I'd never heard it before, but I really liked it. It sounded very aggressive and a little bit in the vein of sort of Frost era Enslaved. That's how I heard it at the time. But yeah, since then I've really got into them quite a lot. Now this band has a massive release schedule, like they've released, quite a few full-length albums, but in addition to that, many EPs and even more splits. So it's very hard to keep up with all of their material. So by no means do I own all of HORNA's albums, but I own quite a few. Today we're looking at the CDs that I own by this band, and I also own quite a few of their different albums on vinyl, but I split my categories by CD and vinyl rather than by band. So in a future black metal vinyl video, I'll talk about those other albums. But yes, for today, I have 5 albums to talk about. So without further ado, we'll get straight into it. Okay, so the first release by HORNA, which I own, is Hiidentorni, which is actually a demo by this band. But as I've mentioned in a previous thread for This Is Music, this demo, it's almost like the length of a full-length album, and it's album quality in my opinion, like an absolutely phenomenal demo by this band. Like you just can't believe, usually when you think of a demo, it's something a bit sketchy or dodgy, just a few raw tracks. But yeah, 8 tracks on this, in fact 9, and they're all really good. So just before I go any further, the way to describe HORNA's sound, they sort of vary in between albums, and because they have so many albums, some of them I'm not into as much as others, and there are others which I consider like a little bit pointless. There was one where they did like a kind of tribute to the Bathory sound, and I just thought, oh yawn, so many bands have done that, we don't need another one. And then there was another one which I found quite boring, but the majority of HORNA stuff I really like. And this was a brilliant start for this band. So basically, what you have with HORNA's music, it's very sort of fast, aggressive, Nordic sounding black metal, influenced by the Scandinavian sound, with the band being from a Nordic country themselves. It makes sense. But as I've said before, I think the bands which they take most inspiration from, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, they sound a lot like Gorgoroth, especially like the rawer, earlier Gorgoroth, in addition to early Enslaved, like Frost era Enslaved, on some albums anyway. So it's sort of that sort of early 90s Norwegian sound, even though it's a Finnish band anyway, but like absolutely brilliant. This release, what you have is 9 tracks, including an intro of just fast, aggressive Nordic black metal, like a lot of blast beats, like Blizzard-like riffs and everything. And what is really interesting about this release, though, what makes it stand out, is the vocals, which are performed by none other than Tyrant Werewolf, who he's from Satanic Warmaster, obviously, his solo project, but before Satanic Warmaster, he was vocalist of this band, and he called himself Satanic Warmaster. That was his stage name in this band. So his vocals in this are just really warped and possessed, so it's not those sort of run-of-the-mill monotonous black metal vocals, but just like high-pitched shrieks which sound really possessed. And as I said, the music's really blasting and aggressive, but you still hear melody in the fast Blizzard-like riffs, so it's fantastic. And obviously you can hear some influence from the Norwegian sound, because I think track 2 on this, the opening riff, it sounds very much like the riff in I Am the Black Wizards by Emperor, so you know, maybe that's a tip of the hat to the Norwegian scene. But yeah, really good. And as you go on later, like there are some standout catchy moments as well, like on track 3 and track 6 and 7. I think the second half of the demo starts to get into a sort of groovier mode where the riffs become more mid-paced and chugging and heavy, but there's still that black metal element there. So really great stuff. Couldn't recommend this demo enough. Now this is the artwork, which is kind of cool, the forest, but I really wish I had the original one with the guitarist Shatraug. It's him with corpse paint in the moonlight with some forest in the background. Just a very atmospheric cover. I like that more than this one, but still this is a good one. And I think that's Shatraug on the back there. Okay, here's the booklet showing all members of the band. So I think that's Satanic Warmaster there. Picture of the band. Yep, so it's sticking very much that old school aesthetic. There's Shatraug there, the main guitarist. Yep, so if you like fast, aggressive Nordic black metal with a few catchy moments, you will definitely like this. So I'd recommend checking it out if you have not. So that's HORNA with their album-length demo, Hiidentorni. Fantastic. Okay, so the album I'm going to talk about next. This is a 4 CD pack actually, but I'll get into that. Up next we have HORNA with Kothi Yhdeksan Nousua, which again, Finnish viewers, sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. Finnish is a very difficult language, but I have fun trying anyway. But yeah, I really like the sound of the Finnish language, but I know it's one of the hardest languages to learn because it belongs to no big language group. You know, like it's not a Romance language, it's not a Germanic language. It belongs to the Ugro-Finnic language category. So the only 2 countries involved in that are Finland and Hungary. But anyway, Kothi Yhdeksan Nousua. Now, this artwork, I'll just start off by saying, is really boring. I don't know, this is because it's a compilation. It was released with the Hiidentorni demo. Like, even though I've already shown that, this one here, it's a compilation of Hiidentorni and Kothi Yhdeksan Nousua. So, yeah, the original artwork for Kothi Yhdeksan Nousua was a black and white corpse painted picture again, which I think is more interesting than this. This is just dull. So yeah, so Hiidentorni's on here, but I've already mentioned that. But the album in question now, Kothi Yhdeksan Nousua, that sort of picks up where Hiidentorni left off. So it's like very blasting, aggressive Nordic black metal again, with some bombastic blast beats and everything, shrieky vocals, which are fantastic. But with this one, they see the incorporation of some dim and faint keyboards in the background, just to lift the atmosphere a bit, which is great. And again, just like the end of Hiidentorni, there's some more sort of catchy and mid-paced sections. So parts where it's almost like real headbanging material, like you're just tapping your head along, you could bang your head to it. So it's catchy. And I think on Kothi Yhdeksan Nousua, they were sort of going in that enslaved Frost era direction. Not so much with the atmospheric Viking stuff, but like just the fast aggression and the use of keyboards, which is even more evident on the next release that I'm going to talk about. Yeah, but Kothi Yhdeksan Nousua has 5 songs, 2 of which are in English. Like that's the interesting thing with this band. Most of their song titles and lyrics are in their native tongue, Finnish, so it's very difficult. But yeah, like Imperial Devastation, that's one of the rare English titled tracks. That's just got some great catchy riffs in it. Sword of Darkness is fantastic as well. And the last track, which is called Sormasya Silma, it has this really kind of atmospheric dark ambient outro, which is sort of introspective and reflective. And that's what this band does. Sometimes they use electronics and effects as well, just for a haunting and dark atmosphere, just as reflective calm from the storm, I think, of this blasting Nordic blackness, which is often featured on here. So yeah, brilliant album. So as I said, it's got the Hiidentorni demo, but also the other one. So Kothi Yhdeksan Nousua. I don't know how many times I've said that now. Sorry, do I like saying it? Maybe. Okay, yeah. So here we have the booklet, all lyrics in Finnish, apart from those 2 English tracks. Yeah. And some superimposed pictures of the band. So yeah, that was their debut full length. And yes, it was a very strong start with this band. This was the tape which Sylvia made for me when I first heard this band. And I thought, yeah, at the time I thought it sounds a bit enslaved-esque. So that's HORNA with Kothi Yhdeksan Nousua. Now, this CD is a double pack, so believe it or not, here's the booklet. If I flip it, there's another booklet because there's 2 more releases on the second disc. So the next one I'm going to talk about, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this because it's impossible. It's Perima something. Vihassa. It's down the bottom anyway. Yes, so again, this artwork is pretty cool. I just wish it wasn't so faded and more colorful. So it's just got some crucified, stabbed figure, I assume Jesus, because this band is a very sort of typically traditionally satanic black metal band. Like, oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like on Hiidentorni, my favorite track is Sinulla Maladene Jehovah, which means for you, rotten Jehovah. So yeah, you get the picture. They're not really into Christianity. But yeah, this album, Perima. Yeah, so this is not the original artwork. The original artwork features some kind of horned Conan the Barbarian-esque figure on horseback in the moonlight, which is pretty cool. But on this compilation CD, which I actually ordered from Japan, all of the artworks are different. So yeah, that's kind of rare actually. But yeah, this album, Perima, it occurred to me the other day. I used to say that my favorite album by this band, HORNA, is Entvatnag's, you know, the one, Evangels of Satan, which I don't own on CD. On record though, which I've shown in Rick's dreadful Halloween challenge. I talk about that album. I used to say that was my favorite, but my favorite is actually this EP, Perima ... Just because I think they're really harnessing what they did on the earlier albums. It's still very aggressive, but again, it's interspersed with those catchy mid-paced moments. But especially what's great about this is they're incorporating the keyboards more, but never drown the music in the keyboards. But it sort of just makes it more bombastic and atmospheric. So, you know, in enslaved songs such as Jotunblod and Gilfar Ginning, like those kind of bombastic keyboards where it's like, dun, 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 you know, like at sudden moments, that's what it's like on this album too. So it's still that really fast and blasting and aggressive, but they incorporate keyboards, which just makes the melodies more catchy, especially when they have like little melodic keyboard riffs in there, which they do sometimes, but as I said, they don't overuse the keyboards in this. So yeah, another fantastic EP, and I think that's 4 or 5 tracks on that one actually. And yeah, just a great release. So the name's down the bottom. I can't say, but I couldn't recommend this EP enough. And then the last EP, which I'm going to talk about, is also shared with this disc. That is Ordo Regnum Sathanas. So again, very consistent with the style of the earlier releases I've talked about, but it just builds on that. And yeah, the sound quality is great. That's another thing I forgot to mention about this band, is the fact that even though they take strong influence from Gorgoroth, especially in my opinion, they still have very good sound quality. So it's not overly raw, it's not horrible sounding, like unlike a lot of Gorgoroth albums. It's clean, so it's sort of like, think of Marduk-esque production, maybe not as polished as that, but everything is clear and cold and grim though, so that the sound quality is great. You can hear the guitars, bass, drums, vocals, everything, the keyboards, it's fantastic. So Ordo Regnum Sathanas, that is very much in the same vein again, like 4 tracks, and this contains another rare English title track, which is Black Metal Sodomy. I think that's one of their favorite tracks actually. So if you're looking for a sort of starting song for HORNA and what they're about, I would recommend, yeah, start with Black Metal Sodomy. The title's a bit ridiculous, but you can look up on YouTube where they're playing a live rendition of that at this forest gig in Lithuania, and it's just brilliant. Like, you see the band just getting into it so much, and you know, they're all adorned in the corpse paint and everything. Fantastic. So Black Metal Sodomy is fantastic. It's got a little bit of a punky edge as well, and you know that there's a part in the middle where it goes dan, and like it, just a quick pause before the drums kick in again. And on this one it goes ooh, but on other versions I've heard it goes fuck you. It sounds funny, so like a nice hostile message there. And the final track, Ordo Regnum Sathanas, that is a black metal track, but then it ends, you may have heard me speak about this before, it ends with this kind of dark ambient keyboard track, which is just this very repetitive rendition of notes, but it's so haunting and eerie, and then they add layers and it builds and builds, and it's just such an atmospheric, haunting, dark, cold soundscape. Absolutely brilliant. So like that instrumental part at the end of Ordo, Regnum, Sathanas. I think it goes for up to like 15 minutes or something, but it just builds and builds, adding these dark ambient layers, so it's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, there we have it. So 4 releases on these 2 discs. The first one has Hiidentorni and Kothi Yhdeksan Nousua. The second one has Perima ... and Ordo, Regnum, Sathanas. So of these, I think they're all fantastic releases, but my favorites are the ones on the second disc. So Perima and Ordo, Regnum, Sathanas. So just showing you the 2 discs here with the HORNA logo. And I dropped this the other day, annoyingly. So it broke, and there's a picture of the guys there superimposed over the sort of stage scene. Yeah. But so, like these albums which I've spoken about thus far are just really aggressive blasting Nordic black metal with occasional catchy and bouncy moments and a bit of atmosphere with keyboards. So absolutely fantastic. So that's HORNA with those 2 albums. I'm not going to say the names again because you're probably getting sick of me saying that. But yeah. And now the final CD to talk about today. Shame about this cover art being so faded, but I think that was the intention, for it to be lo-fi. So once again, I apologize, Finnish viewers, if I'm not getting this pronunciation right. But this is HORNA with Anja Jossa. So you see, in the light you can see it a bit more. So it's got this naked female character in like a barn or something. Yeah. So this is an absolutely fantastic release. I believe this one is a full length, but it's only 4 tracks. The last track is really, really long. The way I have described this particular album, in a nutshell, is that it sounds like early Burzum crossed with Insipid Satan by Gorgoroth. Oh, that's another thing I forgot to mention. On these other HORNA albums, there's some of those like mid-pace moments with the 4/4 drumming, which sound very Burzum-esque. So like if you like Gorgoroth, enslaved early Burzum, yeah, definitely check out this band. Yeah, but this one, it sounds like they were really going, in my opinion, emulating that Insipid Satan Gorgoroth album. And that's a great thing. A lot of people hated that album, but as I've mentioned before, that's one of my favorites, just because I think the melodies and just the dreariness in some of these riffs and everything is just so cold and atmospheric. It's absolutely brilliant. So that's what you get on this album. It's very raw. There's a lot of mid-paced 4/4 drumming sections, just like Burzum. But yes, you can hear that Gorgoroth Insipid Satan influence, particularly tracks like An Excerpt of X, which is one of my favorite Gorgoroth songs on Insipid Satan. So yeah, you're a fan of early Burzum, Gorgoroth Insipid Satan, you can't go wrong with this. And I think the vocalist on this album was Corvus, and he had a really sort of bleak, dreary voice, which just suited the music perfectly. Like, it's a bit hoarse at times, his vocal style, which is a bit like Varg Vikernes on the early Burzum albums as well. And the last track goes for about 20 minutes. That's the title track, Anja Jossa. But I'm never bored when I'm listening to that song. Like, in a sense, you sort of drift into ambience because it's so hypnotic. But when the song finally stops, it's a bit disappointing. You go, oh no, I was just really getting into that cold atmosphere. So yeah, this one is the most sort of dreary and ambient sounding. But like, if you like those aforementioned releases, yeah, you will definitely like this. So we'll just have a look on the inside here. All of the lyrics in Finnish once again. And the disc there, yep, a bit faded. Yep, so definitely worth checking out if you like early Burzum and Insipid Satan by Gorgoroth. That's HORNA with Anja Jossa, or Anja Jossa. Okay, so that's it, guys. Believe it or not, I do have a lot of other HORNA albums, but as I said, they're on vinyl, so they will be delayed for another black metal vinyl video. But yes, that's all I'm going to say about HORNA for now, but I'm going to talk about them more later. So yeah, if you like Gorgoroth, Enslaved, early Burzum, I would definitely recommend checking out this band. And when I say Enslaved, not the proggy stuff by Enslaved, not the Viking stuff by Enslaved, but just the early black metal stuff, the way that quirky use of keyboards. HORNA is a bit like that, but more aggressive and more of an overtly satanic band. But I just feel the music of HORNA, it just suits the bleakness and the cold of Finland, and I know they have a strong connection to nature. I've seen them at Steel Fest twice, and they were brilliant both times. I think the second time they were even better, and the current vocalist, Spellgoth, made the speech like, oh, take inspiration from the forest and the lakes. It was just brilliant, and then I had to go and take a piss, so I missed the end of the set, unfortunately, but this band is really good. I know a lot of people in Finland, they're sort of taken as for granted in Finland. It's like, you know, what's that expression? Selling ice to the Eskimos, even though that's a politically incorrect term now. But you know, like that kind of thing where Finnish people at the festivals, they say, oh, we get HORNA again, they always fill in when a band drops out. But to people from other countries, what an amazing band. But yeah, I think they are popular and well respected in Finland too. And as I said, one of my favorite Finnish black metal bands, so definitely check them out. All right, that's it for today, guys. I'm not sure when I'll be back, but obviously sometime soon. Not sure what video I'm going to make next, but I still have tons of stuff to talk about. So if you made it this far, I appreciate you watching, and thanks very much to all of you subscribers. On that note, sadly, as a result of my last video, I lost 3 subscribers, probably because I talked about non-metal genres like pop rock and hip hop. I mean, that's a shame, but that's also how it goes. I know some people have a certain vision of how music should be, so there you go. But anyway, I'm going to talk about the music I buy, so hope you don't mind. Alright, so I won't waste any more of your time. Thanks for all of your support, thanks for watching, and I'll chat to you soon. Cheers.